Hi everyone, video number 18, and instead of dragging you through all the details of how I finished the body, here's a summary. Glued on a few more pieces. Cut out some circles. Cut holes into the circles. Smelled the hot glue gun and realized that I hadn't done the gluing yet. Unplugged the glue gun. And moved the cable that was on the outside into the inside of the pipe. Much cleaner. I put the circles in place where the hinges are going to be so that I can measure what size pieces I need. Glued the circles onto another piece of foam to make a piece like this for the hinge. Flared the edges out just a little bit and then forgot that I needed a hole in the bottom. Added the hole and put it in place. And then did it again. And at long last, put the very last piece on. Might have to do a little more tidying up there, but that's good enough that I can start adding all of my electronic pieces. I do have a few more things before the entire frame is covered up with foam, and then after that I'll be adding some more of the detail, like just all the cosmetic stuff that is going to be on there to make it look like a really cool machine. And for right now, I'm going to be working on the radar and the interior fan, the interior light, the other things that are controlled by the control console. If you remember this strange bit of assorted electronics that had those really cool motors in, well, I've got this and the housing for the motor, and I have already glued on a piece of pipe so that when this spins, it is pretty well balanced. And I have created my radar. I just built this out of the foam core. Make it go on there, and then it will be spinning around. And that whole assembly is going to be mounted somewhere on the back right here so that it can spin freely. This piece is just for mounting this whole assembly onto something flat. I'm going to have another piece that will help finish it up. I know it's a fairly common thing to want to make everything symmetrical, and just so that it's not, I'm going to put the hole somewhere on the side instead of right in the middle. There we go. I've got that on there. I've determined the hole that I need to cut for putting the motor in there, and I figured out that that is exactly where the pipe coming up is going to be, so I could center it exactly in the middle. But I'm not going to. My resistance to symmetry, I'm going to put it right over there. This is so hard to do after taking such a long time making this perfect. And we have the first electrical component installed. Kind of. I've added more foam core around there, the same size of that hole so that it can stay in place. Added a piece of cosmetic foam on the top. And now I've got a radar that can just sit in there and I don't have to glue it in. For the internal fan, I have taken just a computer cooling fan and made a case of foam core and just a top lip there to mount it in the top of the canopy. Here we go again with the cutting in a perfectly good piece. And then got to do the second layer. Here it is put in place, and on the bottom I've glued it, and I've got this fancy piece to cover it to make it look a bit nicer. I do realize that I'm going to have to tape everything up in order to plasti dip it, but that's okay. I have taken off the hinges and they are drying with plasti dip right now, as is the radar. And I'm considering how I'm going to attach all of the wires from the control panel. Now this is what I used for my board costume last year, and it's great because it has 6 wires all plugged in, but I need more than 6. So I decided that I'm going to use some network cable. And because I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, like potentially 10 buttons here that I have to send a signal for, more even eventually. And network cable uses 8. So I have to pick up some of that tomorrow. Now what I've got here with the hazard lights is, of course, the light bulb itself and the socket. So I can put this on the side and have it so that I can screw these in so they're easier to transport. Hooray for boxes of wires! I found the pieces that I needed, and now I'm just going to wire them up to the control panel. And now I am just doing a whole lot of soldering. It's a big mess, but it makes sense to me, at least. After several hours of soldering and figuring out where wires are going, writing everything down, I am just about ready to close this thing up, but I have to redo the program a little bit to include all of the new additions, and then it's ready to go. This is not the only Arduino board that I have in this entire project, of course. If you remember from many videos ago, this was the radar controller. I'm not going to be including it this time. Not yet anyway, because I don't have time to actually build the radar. But in order to control some other aspects, like I have all of these buttons here, all of the weapon controls, they're just leading to wires out. They're going to another controller board that will do more controlling of the gun and the rocket. As much as I would love to show you through the entire process of how to program the Arduino, that's not what this series is about, so I'm not going to. That's going to be done off camera. And also I have to do a whole bunch more wiring because of all the wires that I just put into the control panel, here are the other ends. I've got all the buttons, the power to the fan and the headlights, the main power to the batteries, the ones that's coming from switch to run all the other things. There's a lot of stuff to still do. So I'm going to do that, and the next time you see me, hopefully we'll have a whole bunch of those things ready for demo. Then I'll be able to get onto the painting and go from there, because I don't have that much time. So if you like this video, please click that like button, do a little subscribe, and I'll see you guys next week.